Hi, Facebook. Welcome to Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Should have an interesting one for you. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what's happening with our real estate market out there with all that's going on with the COVID-19 virus. So today we're going to talk about that, what effects we're seeing, what precautions people can take, some things that you can take away from this as well. You ready to do the show?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Stay for the after show. We'll see if we got any.
Got the Clorox.
You do. All right, here we go. So that's running. That's running. Clock. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrad and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tufson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, you can give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. And you can check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. Also, download our free publications, The Smart Home Buyer and The Smart Seller, under publications at brickstwincities.com. Follow us on our Facebook page where you can see, well, normally I'd say upcoming events, but events probably being paused for a little while. And watch us record live most Tuesdays at noon. We'll probably continue to do that. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the COVID-19 virus and the effects that that's having on our real estate market. I'd like to welcome Danny Dietl, broker, Bricks Real Estate, for coming in to discuss this. Obviously, you and I see eye to eye on a lot of concerns about, some of the ways that people are dealing with this, and almost treating it like nothing is necessarily going on.
First off, my man Casey Kasem right here. Have you ever thought about doing top 40? Yeah,
I got a face for radio.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very interesting. It's you have people on all ends of the spectrum, and how their reaction is kind of manifesting here. So it's really interesting. It's you do have a combination of people who are completely dismissive of it, which is highly problematic. And then you have people that are also in all-out panic mode, which is
also problematic.
So it's finding that balance. I do want to start this though with a quick PSA to the real estate industry. Look, everybody's on Facebook and Instagram, and I mean this is a pretty significant time. I mean, we'll look back at this years from now, and it'll take that long to fully kind of comprehend what happened. I just want to suggest to agents and lenders, stop with it's a great time to buy, it's a great time to sell. Most people in this industry have been saying that since they got in the industry without ever taking a breath. I think this is a great time to understand that buying and selling is highly personal. To be reactionary on a home purchase or sale based on any type of event or interest rate fluctuation or anything like that, and to add urgency to a situation like this is not helpful.
Well, I get the question all the time. When's the right time to buy a home? When you find the right home.
Yeah,
that's it.
This is a reminder that it's completely situational. There is no blanket. This is the best time to do X, Y, or Z. Buying and selling a home is not like buying a stock, where you try and be, and even the stock market, you shouldn't really try and time it. If you're going to be intentional about it, if you're a trader and you're highly sophisticated with it, okay, but buy and sell a home when it's right for you. So this isn't. And I'm not saying that.
I don't know if I'd be wanting to push buyers or push sellers into having a bunch of other people come into your home right now.
Right, but
do you want to be the agent that's responsible for that?
Right, and at the same time, situations for both buyers and sellers. There are sellers that need to sell, and there are buyers that need to buy.
Yes. Yep.
Just let the market kind of dictate itself. And my point is, these situations are buyers and sellers. It's highly situational. So just relax with everybody needs to do X, Y, or Z. Just sit down, take off your salesperson hat and be an advisor.
Right.
Fair?
Exactly.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about the stats we're seeing behind this. So there is an impact to our market, all right? The impact where it almost always starts is in the showings per week per listing. That's the first indicator of where things are going. And so what we've seen is showings going from, I think it was like 8.48, and this in Minneapolis, St. Paul, 8.48 a week ago, and going down to 7.71 this week. And I'm sure if I just look at the past few days, it's probably dropped again, I'm assuming. That also followed by pending sales that have dropped by a few hundred. Now, that's a statewide stat, a few hundred that have fallen off in comparison to a week ago or even over last year at the same time. So the market is slowing. All of that said, at the 7.71, we're still 9% faster paced than we were at the same time last year for showing activity. So it'll be really interesting to see how this pans out over the next few weeks. And, you know, obviously there's markets out there, not in the Twin Cities, but they're locking down completely. And that's a possibility. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show and how you may want to deal with that and look at that. So in comparison to last year, okay, we're 9% faster. Also,
sorry, 9% faster on showings.
Showings per week per listing.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Pending sales still have fallen off, so it'd be kind of interesting to see what this week's does in comparison to last year.
Yep.
So part of putting everything into perspective is, okay, so we're faster than we were last year. We're slower than we were last week. How does this compare to other times of year? Okay, so for example, now we're at 7.71 right now. In July, we'll be at around 5. Okay, 5 showings per week per listing average. You know, and hover that 5-6 mark through the fall, and then that starts to drop off October, November. So our market is still at a faster pace than it was at that time.
So let me jump in there. So what do you think is accounting for that? Because as we said at the intro here, there's 2 types of behaviors. There are people that are speeding up the process, and there are people that are putting it on pause. So,
yes.
And they're kind of counterbalancing each other.
I think so. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had numerous conversations this week from sellers. What do we do? And from buyers. I definitely see that buyers are being cautionary for the most part. They're aware of what's going on. I mean, I just wrapped up a set of showings last night, and I said, hey, we might not see a lot of listings come on over the next few weeks, so we don't need to feel like we have to go out there and rush, and it may not make sense to do that, right? And then sellers, I actually this week put a listing on, previous week put a listing on Thursday, and by Friday I was under contract. So right now I actually don't have any active inventory. I have upcoming inventory, and we were 30 days out a week ago, and he's like, well, do you think we should get this on quickly? And I said, no, let's stick with the plan. Let's see where we are in 30 days.
Yeah. A little anecdotal, but I spoke with Network Title to get a sense on what's going on there. And my question was, are you seeing a lot of cancellations? And they kind of surprisingly said, no, almost none. What they're seeing is
people speeding up.
Yes, moving up the close dates.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I've had a few that are trying to get it pushed up.
Yep.
I think people are bracing for a slowdown.
Right.
I would not be surprised to see the showings per week per listing this week start dropping into the 5s, 4s mark. Keep in mind, the one thing I forgot to say is anything above 4, I still consider a seller's market.
Sure.
And we tend to experience, like, I think this year, I think we got kind of a traditional year. I mean, we did have a faster December, but December was still, like, between Thanksgiving and Christmas was the slowest time.
Right. But the spring market came at us pretty fast this year relative to last year. We hadn't even started the spring market last year, and we're kind of in the throes of it now.
Yeah, it was almost instantaneous. When you look at that showings per week per listing, it was down at like 248, and within 2 weeks, it jumped to 5.
Yeah,
around Christmas time. So that's how fast our market picks up. And I honestly think we're going to see that exact same thing happen when, this kind of settles down and the market starts to go at it again. We're just going to see this just boom, probably a bunch of listings that come on and a bunch of buyers that come back out of the woodwork that were kind of holding out.
I think I've never had a conversation with you where showings per listing was not uttered in the conversation. It's your favorite. It's your favorite stat.
I love that stat. I do. Well, I mean, I was for years was looking for an indicator of how can we track the market. All right. So we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Oh, we didn't get to the benefits of a pause. We have time for that.
There we go. Okay. Let me run the clock down here. Okay. No, we're going to bring it right into the next segment.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah. I was born ready, Kirk.
Here we go.
Do you want Danny's dues on social distancing? Danny's don'ts. It's got to be negative. I touched my face.
Okay. By the way, Facebook, if you ever have a question for us, you can type it in under the right of comments, and we can answer that. Even if you're catching this later, we do look back at shows, and so happy to help address those questions on there as well. And yeah, if you are writing the questions during the first segment, usually I can answer it during the break or for the second segment in the after show. All right, ready? Here we go. You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today we're talking about the impact of the coronavirus on our Twin Cities real estate market. So in last segment we were discussing about some of the drops in that showings per week per listing, Danny.
Yeah, there we go.
No, you had said you haven't had a conversation with me where I don't tend to bring that up, and the reason it really got drilled in as something I like to bring up is we don't really have any other indicator out there to gauge how fast the market is moving or slow the market is moving. It's tough when looking at pending sales because you need a lot of data.
Yeah.
And looking back where you can really look at that showings per listing even down to a daily basis.
Right.
And see what's going on out there.
Can I just note that we usually just as a buffer between us use the 6 mile rule for social distancing. So this has actually brought us closer together.
Yeah. And we did put a mic between us.
We did.
So.
We were pretty close. And we are Cloroxed up pretty good.
Okay, so we were talking about, that the market is more than likely, I think, going to slow down even more. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 50% drop in that showings per week per listing. All right,
I thought you were going to say prices.
Nope. No, not at all. Not at all. I do not see prices really getting impacted by this much, if at all.
Do we want to talk about why that is for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we are truly at a supply and demand. It is supply and demand.
Yes.
That drives this. We are so far skewed in the low supply category, and the demand is still there. Now, there will be economic fallout. This will absolutely pull some buyers out of the market. It just will.
Yep. And it probably will pull some sellers out of the market.
Yeah. Right. So again, that kind of
that balance
counterbalancing each other. But the fundamentals are still primarily there. Now, if they shut down the cities for 3 months, it's a different story.
Right.
If this is a 30-day hiatus, my guess is, I mean, there will be some pain, but the rebound will be pretty rapid. Again, also saying none of us have gone through this completely before.
Be the most interesting from kind of a geeky standpoint is in our market, the buyers always come before the sellers. This will make the two catch up to each other. So we'll see lots of buyers influx into the market at one time and lots of listings influx into the market at one time. It'll be kind of, I'm guessing we'll actually see a drop in the showings per week per listing in comparison to the same time last year.
Sure.
But we'll see an influx probably in pending sales. Right. And we haven't ever seen that. Our market is January is when the spring market starts. So, yeah, we definitely want to keep an eye on that. I think it'll be a very interesting standpoint. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the benefits potentially of, let's say they just, either buyers kind of back out and hang out, or it's actually forced upon a pause in showings. What do you see, Danny, as some of the benefits that a pause may bring?
So spring brings a lot of buyers that just jump into the market, and they'll usually be prompted by they'll be on a website, they'll see a home that looks interesting that they like. They'll call us, we'll go look at it, and then they'll want to make an offer, but they're not pre-approved yet, so then they've got to get the ball rolling. So they tend to get educated throughout the process and not prior. So anybody who has been a spring buyer that has kind of jumped into it, this may be a good opportunity to just pause things, step back, get really educated, get really intentional about what it is that you're looking for. So back to it's always a good time to buy. Well, it's also always a good time to contingency plan. And if you start thinking about your home purchase as not as a home, as well as potentially an investment, how do you best prep for that and make sure that you're in a position? So this isn't the only event that could put the brakes on the economy, right? So if you're going to buy a home and you're buying the wrong home and something like this hits and you need to sell, that's where the pain sets in. So to get really smart about your home purchase and be really intentional about what it is, so it's something that you can be in for a longer period, potentially if you need to, if the market ever does take a pullback.
Right. Well, and what an easier way to become smart about the market as a buyer than to download our free book.
Here it comes.
The Smart Home Buyer under publications at brickstwincities.com. Free book. So we're giving away education. Okay, take advantage of it. I mean, this is legitimately, there's no hooks in here. There's no call to action. It's just like, it's highly educational. It is. Right.
You did a great job on it.
Thank you. So one of the things that when I do the classes that we talk about a lot is the set yourself up for success, don't be in a rush. Well, this might cause people to not be in a rush, a forced education. And here's what happens when people do rush. One, they don't use the right searching tools, which causes a huge amounts of frustration, where 50% of the homes that they're finding and wanting to look at are actually under contract already. So it gives you time to make sure that you get the right ones in your hands. The next thing is they don't do a home buyer priority checklist. Oh my gosh, you want to save yourself a ton of anguish, a ton of frustration, a ton of fighting with your spouse. Do the home buyer priority checklist. This is a fight between yourself, and this is a fight that you just have to work out with your significant other. Because I guarantee you, if you both fill this out, you will not be on the same page exactly. But why it's so important is you have the top 5 things: price, size, condition, location, neighborhood, that you need to figure out. If your most important is price and your spouse's is neighborhood, you could find yourself constantly looking at homes. Well, hey, this one's priced perfect. Well, I hate the location, right? And it's going to happen over and over and over until you get to 25 to 50 showings, and you either give up, you get buyer fatigue, or you finally start to figure this out ahead of time. I mean, when you go into a car lot, you're not walking in like, I don't know if I want a pickup truck, a minivan, or a sedan, right? Take the time to do a little research. Trust yourself. You know what you want. And this is the opportunity to do that. There is a great way that you can utilize photos that are on the real estate sites to do something with it that you probably never thought about. And I call it looking past the rooms. So what I mean by that is when you look at the house, the outside of the house, the outside of the property, look at where the windows are located. And then go to either the last photo or the next photo and look at the back of the property. Look at where those windows are located. And then every picture you look at the window, figure out where that is, and then look at where the hallways are. You can actually build that layout of that house in your head and decide, is that something you want? Because not everybody wants a bedroom each on a different level, right? Which we see those homes, right? Not everybody wants a kitchen towards the front of the house. Not, some people want an open floor plan. And here's the thing. Pictures tell 1,000 lies, all right? So if you're using the photos to sit there and decide how pretty or nice or good condition a home is, it's going to lie to you. You can't see me if you're listening on the radio right now, but for those watching on Facebook, I'm showing a couple of examples of houses where one expired out and then the other one, so 90 days on the market, didn't sell, and then the other one sold almost immediately, both the same house, no work done to it, just different cameras and staging. So taking the time to educate yourself is super important. I know I kind of went long there. Let's just real quick, Danny, 30 seconds. What are some of the safety options or precautions buyers can take, sellers can take if they have concerns right now?
So sellers should probably be avoiding public open houses. You get way too many people that are not adhering to the social distancing. And so if somebody is showing up at a public open house, which is going to be confined spaces with a whole lot of people, you better believe that they're issuing the guidelines in other places. They are high risk. You don't want that. Sanitizers, leave the lights on, leave the doors open, make the experience as pleasant as possible. For buyers, look at the right houses, not the most houses, as you say.
And let your realtor, if your realtor is there, and maybe they have the gloves with them, if they're prepared, they have the sanitation, let them open the doors for you.
Yep.
Right? You don't need to be walking around touching every doorknob, touching every light switch. They can be there to help out with that.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to be touching the lockbox anyway, so might as well.
Yeah. And safety is absolute the priority.
All right.
So
we'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Absolutely. So after show time.
After show.
So, yeah, you bring up the point about not looking at the most homes, looking at the right homes. If you see a house, do that due diligence. Walk through that priority checklist in your head. So, make sure you're looking at the Google Street View first. Make sure you're looking at the satellite view first, right? You don't need to be going to houses that you're just going to pull up and hate. This is one you mentioned before the show. You don't need to go into the house if you get there, you pull up and you realize you do your walk around and you don't like it. You don't need to go in, right? Tell your agent, nope, don't want to go in. I think that's just safe.
How often have you had a buyer that was lukewarm on a house, walk in and absolutely love it?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
I will say there is the exception where it's like exterior's kind of and you get inside, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, but the surprises when you look at the house are usually you could have kind of predicted the surprises as well. Or bad photos and maybe give the house a chance or something like that. But for the most part, being intentional about it and
go to only vacant houses. Go and shows.
Yeah.
I think if you're the type of person, buyer that's riding around with your agent, maybe stop that practice,
Yeah.
And one of the things, we reached out to the board today, and one of the things that I mentioned is, hey, if we're trying to keep groups of 10 down, it's really hard to go out on showings and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, maybe it's just, your agent and, you and your significant other, or just you. But if you walk in and there's overlapping showings,
Yep.
you can pass up that number real fast.
Yeah,
You know?
and it is about the still creating a good experience as a seller. So we before this, overlapping showings could be beneficial because it does show that there is interest. But you get too many in a house, and it can be problematic. But as cautious as smart people are going to be about this, overlapping showings is actually going to be a deterrent to interest, and you will get people that won't go in a house if it's too crowded. So.
Right.
Establishing some guidelines.
Well, and that's something you can just set in the MLS, or your agent can set. Just click. You don't want overlapping showings, and they won't allow them to be booked. I would say that it might be smart. I'm just thinking of this now to only allow 30-minute showings.
That's what I was thinking too, because it is. Hopefully, people are going to look at less homes, but the right homes.
Right.
So because there is going to be a window of time. Typically, it's an hour, but if that could be slowed down a little bit, because you will still have new houses that come on the market that are going to be hot. There's going to be a lot of interest. So if you tie up an hour and you got
and the average showing takes 15 minutes tops,
right?
Usually. So, well, anything else you want to add?
No, just everybody out there, stay safe. Anybody who's been traveling out of the country, maybe from India, just kidding. It was never mind. Italy, yeah. China.
Anywhere else in the world, since every country is infected.
Yeah, it's interesting times, but everything's temporary. We will get through it. We will be fine. It might change some realities for us going forward, but
wait and see.
We'll figure it out.
All right. See you, Facebook.
Bye.